Hey guys and gals, I've been asked to make some end scrapers for someone who's doing, I guess, maybe a presentation um, that's in the archaeological field. She asked that I make them out of Wyandotte chert, which is an Indiana hornstone, but the Indiana hornstone I have the few pieces I have of the Wyandotte is pretty low grade stuff, so I'm having some issues with it. But I've picked out some other flakes and stuff here that I think will work out pretty good, and I'll try to take a couple off of the core. The way I would go about making these, if it was back in the day and I needed an end scraper, I would probably go to my debitage pile immediately and try to pick one out that fit the bill for what I needed. A lot of them have a curve in them, and getting that curve off the nodule or the core, it's basically blade core technology. If you were making these things, specifically for that purpose, making a bunch of end scrapers, you would be knocking blades off a core, and those blades would have one or two ridges on the dorsal face, and then they would probably shear off the end there to make that, or pressure flake, or even use percussion with a hammerstone to get those little flakes off the edge there to create that nice abrupt, stout, sharp edge that they use so much for scraping and stuff. So let me go ahead and work. These things really aren't hard to make, especially if you're just picking out some flakes that look like they're the right shape and size and stuff for what you need, because these things come in all different shapes and sizes. I found them real small up to 3, 4, 4.5 inches long, and even bigger. So but let's see here. Let's see if I can use a hammerstone, and this is probably a weak area here, so let's get rid of that. And they weren't all curved like a lot of people call them humpback scrapers, or I've heard them called different things, thumb scrapers, but they're basically end scrapers. And then you have your hafted scrapers, which are a lot of times a side notch arrowhead will snap off, it'll break in half, and they'll rework it into a blunt. A lot of people call them blunts, and some of them I think were blunts, but a lot of them are just worked specifically, you can see, for a scraping purpose. They just take the flakes off that one side, and creates that nice stout edge. So let's see if we can maybe shape this thing up. See if I can get some Cortex off here. Didn't really mean to take that much off there. Sometimes they would leave the Cortex on. Remember, it was more about function than fashion back then. I can say this stuff because I've picked up literally thousands and thousands of these things. So I kind of got an idea of how they were making it, or the sizes and different models that they come in. And it's a wide range, let me tell you. Some of these quarries, these hornstone quarries I go to and get flint, there'll just be hundreds of them things laying everywhere. Look like every flake they could put a little edge on and make a scraper out of it. They did. Well, this thing's gonna end up being a preform. So let me see here. Try to pick a little bit better one to start with. This one's got a really nice curve in it. Let me see if I can knock some of this stuff off the top of here, and then we'll try to maybe put an edge on this end here. It'd be a really nice scraper. Let's see. I can do this without breaking it. This actually might be a Fort Payne shirt from Tennessee, I do believe. I'm just going to put a little bit of an edge or a bevel on this. These flakes are going to be coming back this direction, or at least most of them I've seen are made like that. You know, this, I think if you come this way, that edge just blunts too fast, so they get them sheared up the other direction, and it lasts longer for them, I think. Although you don't want that too steep starting out there. Kind of lessen that angle there. That'll help. That'll give us more use out of this thing. Because if it gets too steep, you can't take those flakes anymore. Once that hits 90 degrees, you're DUN. Done. Come on. A little bit more support on it. I don't know if I can get that bump worked off there or not. Giving me a hard time right there. I don't think it's going to do it for me. Oh well, I'll leave it just like it is. I do believe that's what they would have probably done. So I'm just going to take some pressure flakes back up this direction, and that'll create that really sharp, stout, abrupt edge there. I'm just trying to kind of shear them off there. If you happen to have kind of an uneven surface on this bottom side, which usually you won't, it'll just be a flat because it's that ventral side of that flake. But if you do and you want to straighten it out, you just come back the other direction with a couple little flakes. gotta remember, they were probably being a little more careful than I am right now, because they would have been wanting to use every little millimeter of this thing and get the use out of it. They might have used it without straightening that up there, for a while, just to get that extra use out of it. Probably what I would have did. For these things called duckbill scrapers and thumb scrapers and humpback scrapers. End scraper, I guess, is the correct terminology. Probably come back here. Just shear this off here a little bit. And especially on the thinner ones, they would have, they might make a knife edge here and do the same thing they did up here, take the flakes in one direction. When you take them on one direction like that and create a bevel on the edge, it makes it easier to resharpen also. Okay, so that one would work pretty good, I think. Let's see. Probably make it pretty neat. Little one out of there. This one. We'll do an edge on the inside here, and then I'll create an end scraper on the end here for you as well. I'm just gonna flake down, try to work up onto this cone of percussion here. Try to get that thing knocked off there. You can see that right there's the cone of percussion. This is the bulb of percussion, where that flake just came off there. But that cone is exactly where the platform was, where it was struck. And I know there'll be little seams in there where that cone of percussion goes in. So it could create a weak spot in your blade. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Which was easier said than done. There we go. Okay. On a really fine edge like this, probably, let's see, we'll take them back this direction. So what I'll do is just shear this really sharp knife edge off here. Not too much, just enough to thicken it up enough where I can get some little pressure flakes coming back on this side. back here. Probably just end up dulling this back here. If it's going to be a handheld deal, you want to, even if you're going to haft it onto something, you're probably going to want this back part just kind of dulled off for obvious reasons. Okay, now maybe I can just take this little ulna bone and just come through here. Take some little flakes to create that. You just want to go kind of straight down. You could really put some little fine serrations in here. I've got a couple really good examples of these. I couldn't find them a minute ago when I looked in my safe. They weren't where I thought they were, so I was hoping to be able to show you a couple authentic ones. Now you might say, well, that edge looks a lot duller than the one that was on there before you started messing with it. And believe me, it is. But this almost translucent knife edge right here, yeah, it's sharp, but that sharpness goes away really fast. It's just such a fine edge that, you know, those little pieces will break off, and that'll get dull pretty quickly. Whereas to this little bit of serration in here, and it being a little bit stouter edge from shearing down and taking those flakes down first and thickening that edge up a little bit before I took these, this will be a much longer lasting edge. It'll last a lot longer. So, and then, you know, they might have come over here and did the same thing. So you got a little curved, kind of like a little hook blade in this. You know, they made these things almost like multi-tools. A lot of them I find. That little bit of shearing there will really help these flakes here. Let's see how that looks. Come back and touch it up. You can put a little bit more serrations in there if you wanted to, or just make it a nice straight blade. But heck, that little thing right there, man, you could do about whatever you wanted A lot of times they'd even have a little perforator mixed into the deal. And they might have a little something, little piece sticking out there to, you know, poke holes, or Stone Age multi-tool. Alright guys, I guess that'll do it for a end scraper video. Straighten that up. Somebody will say, that looks like a bird effigy. Anyhow, alright guys, thanks for watching, and I hope that was helpful, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bark, bark.